Plumbing overview. So this video is designed to help you recognize situations that you will see commonly out in the field in the installation business and how we can properly handle those situations. This video will not encompass all situations that you will encounter. However, from time to time you'll come across something that you've not seen before. And always remember that you can reach out to supervisors, your direct managers, for help in those situations. But over and over again you will see common situations. Not every job will have problems, but some jobs will have issues, and we want to know what the proper way of dealing with those issues are. So when it comes to plumbing, here's an example of something we will see from time to time. As you can see, the condition of this plumbing is pretty bad. So what we want to remember is not to go in and remove an appliance before we do a thorough pre-check of the job. If you find an issue, such as the one in this picture, why is this an issue? Because this plumbing it's in really bad shape. The hookups are not compatible with a modern dishwasher. Notice the old gate valves, the copper lines. This pipe is so rusted that if you were to put wrenches on it and start turning it, there is a risk that it would break off. And as you can see the conditions of the pipe, those breaks could continue breaking. You may try to fix it and it could break off through the floor, under the house, in the walls. It can quickly turn into a disaster. And remember the principle: if you break it, you buy it. Homeowners are not willing to accept responsibility most of the time for their old plumbing system, reasoning, oh, well, that was my plumbing system. They will only look at you and say, well, it was fine before you touched it. So in some instances, it's better not to mess with it. Obviously, in this instance, we see this plumbing, it's in very poor condition. Our recommendation would be that the homeowner have this repaired before we do our installation because of the poor condition of the plumbing. So when you go out and you do a job, before you take that appliance out, you want to make sure you check for things like this. Once you remove someone's appliance, we have to put an appliance back in. We cannot leave an appliance unhooked. Appliances are hooked into the plumbing system, the electrical system. They're not designed, kitchens aren't designed to have an appliance missing. And not only that, it also will upset homeowners if you leave their home with an appliance unhooked. And the second problem is if everything is not properly capped, the electric is not properly dealt with, we can have leaks, we can have claims, even lawsuits. So it's best to never remove an appliance until we are sure we can proceed with the job. Once we remove an appliance, we want to put an appliance back in. A common mistake that guys make is they go out, they remove the dishwasher, and then they realize, well, I can't proceed because of some issue. And now they have to go back and put the old dishwasher in. That doesn't pay anything. It pays no money at all. We don't want to remove appliances until we complete a thorough inspection. And the inspection needs to be thorough. So we're going to talk about this picture a little more because this is an example that really happened to a customer and some of our installers. The first installer goes out to the job and the dishwasher is locked in by the flooring and it's really bad. And occasionally you will find this where somebody has kind of done it themselves, or they have hired the cheapest flooring guy and he did not properly remove the dishwasher and put the flooring underneath. He didn't properly remove the old flooring down to the subfloor. He just layered another layer on top. And after several layers get layered on top over the years, pretty soon the dishwasher can't come out anymore. This does happen from time to time. This was the case in this job that this picture is in. The first installer told the homeowner, listen, you need to get your flooring fixed, your situation fixed, so that we can replace your dishwasher. But he never looked under the sink. So the homeowner, he corrected his flooring issue, got it open where we could go out and put in the new dishwasher. Well, it took him a little bit of time, and now a new installer picked up the job. The new installer shows up, and he finds out that the plumbing is in horrible shape, very poor shape. So now, after the homeowner has already been expecting a dishwasher to be put in after he did the work to get the flooring out of the way, we could show up and tell him again, we can't do this. Of course, this puts the homeowner and the second installer in a very bad position. It also does not look very well for the company or for the big box store that we're representing. We all look like we don't know what we're doing, simply because the first installer found the first problem, and he stopped looking. He didn't do a thorough pre-check. So I want to emphasize that we always do a thorough pre-check of every job before we start. What you see in this picture is CPVC plumbing. We need to identify CPVC plumbing. It has a yellowish color to it as seen in the photo. We'll have some examples of CPVC for you to look at. CPVC is still in use today. It's designed to handle hot water. The old CPVC that was installed years ago, it becomes very brittle over time. Sometimes it will break even with the slightest touch. How do we prevent flooding people's homes, breaking pipes off? Well, you may not be able to prevent breaking the pipe off. The only thing you can do is be very careful. But when you see CPVC, or you even just see PVC at all, if you are not sure what kind of pipe it is, you need to turn the water off at the street before you proceed with your installation. We've had multiple floods resulting from CPVC pipe, and not only does it make your day go bad because now you're in a situation where you have to clean up all this water in someone's home to the extent that you can, it costs a lot of money to have water crews come in and bring in dehumidifiers, possibly open up floors and walls, and then put all of that back. It costs thousands of dollars if we flood someone's home due to breaking a pipe. Anytime you are in question, you should turn the water off. What happens when we think, oh, it will be okay this time? We flood a house. We cost thousands of dollars worth of damage, and it simply isn't worth it. At any time you are in question, turn the water off at the street. Go out, find the main water valve, shut that water off, release the pressure from the home, open up a faucet, then proceed with your installation. Explain to the homeowner, hey, I'm worried about the plumbing. I'm going to try not to break it. I'm turning off the water, but if I do break it, there could be an additional charge to fix it today. If your install is above the first floor, no matter what you think the condition of the plumbing is, turn the water off at the street. In the picture you see here, this is a finished basement where we did a vanity on the second floor in the bathroom. And when I asked the installers why they didn't turn the water off, they said, oh, we had just got there and we hadn't realized it was CPVC yet. As soon as we moved the vanity, it broke. So what did they not do? They failed to do their pre-check of their inspection. Had they done that, they would have seen that this was CPVC pipe. They would have turned the water off. So it's very important to follow the process, do a thorough pre-inspection of every job, so we can avoid costly disasters. Second floor or higher installations. Anytime you're on the second floor or higher, let's shut the water off. The most expensive floods that we've had to deal with have been due to second floor or higher installations, because when the flood happens, all the water's going down. It's going to penetrate the floors, the walls, the rooms below. It's going to get into the light fixtures below. It's going to drip down below. It's hard to clean that up. It costs thousands of dollars every time. So our policy is, if you're on the second floor or higher, you must shut the water off. Open up a faucet, drain the pressure, then proceed with your installation. You will not have a flood if the water is shut off. Beware of finished basements. Finished basements below the kitchen, that makes it a second floor installation. Anytime you're not sure, turn the water off. It only takes 5 minutes to turn the water off at the street. The most expensive damage claims are from second floor leaks. They're almost always in excess of $5,000. A dishwasher install pays about $150. We have to fix mistakes we make. We have to pay for the damage or fix the damage. But when you only make $150 on a dishwasher, you have to put in a whole lot of them to make up that $5,000 or more claim. It's simple math. Sometimes you will encounter an old shutoff valve like this. It could be under a sink. It could be when changing out a toilet. No matter what you're installing, just don't turn those off. If you just go out and shut the water off at the street. Look at the condition of the pipe here. Maybe the homeowner wants that valve changed out. I would let them know I'm not comfortable changing that valve out because of the condition of your plumbing. You want to hire a plumber who's prepared to go into the wall and fix whatever breaks when we start putting wrenches on that. But the solution is simple. Don't touch that valve at all. Don't turn it off. Once you start turning these valves, they break, they leak, they're a mess. Simply go out to the street, shut the water off, unscrew your supply line, do your install, put your new supply line back on, and proceed. Turn the water back on and check it for leaks. Very simple solution. Turn the water off at the street. Don't think, that valve probably works. No, just don't touch it. And it's obvious when you see these things by the condition of them. We know which ones we shouldn't touch. Do not turn these off ever, even if they look better than this one. This is a gate valve. Gate valves were very popular at one time, and they still make them. If you see these, someone says, here's my whole house shut off, or here's my water shut off, simply explain to them that our company policy does not allow you to use that valve. You will have to turn it off at the water meter on the street. When you shut these valves off, they often break just the process of shutting them off. What has happened to many of our installers is they shut that valve off and then it will not come back on. And now they're ready to go to the next job, but they cannot leave because they've left the customer with no water. You can explain to the customer now, hey, I had to fix this. It's going to cost you some money. But the customer says it worked before you touched it. They automatically think you're responsible. You're going to have a fight on your hands. And the facts are we can't just leave. We can't just shut people's water off and leave them without water. That is something we can never do. It's very poor customer service. But again, the solution is simple. Don't touch it. Go out to the water meter or the well, turn the main valve off there. If you turn off the water meter and the water meter does not turn back on, or if it breaks, it is the property of the city or the county, the municipality. You do not have to do anything except for notify the homeowner, have them call the water municipality. They will come out, they will repair that valve, usually within an hour or so. You can move on to your next job. But if you turn off these old gate valves and the water will not come back on, you're responsible to fix it. So again, old valves, they leak. Sometimes they don't come back on. Other problems develop. The customer expects you to fix the problem. You could argue with them, hey, the old plumbing is the issue. It's not my fault. I only use the valve to turn it on and off. That's what it's designed to do. But that customer is going to make problems for us. They're going to make bad reviews. They're going to complain to the big box stores. They're going to file Better Business Bureau complaints. They're going to just expect us to fix it. So we're best off just not to touch old equipment. Go out to the street. As you can see in the photo here on the right, this is what a water meter looks like, and that's where we can shut the water on and off. If that valve has a problem, you simply call the city, the county, whatever the water municipality is, they will come right out and fix it. But if that valve that we mess with is the problem, we're going to fix it, and most of the time the customer will be unwilling to pay for the additional work in that case, and we will be fixing it for free, and we will be late to the remainder of our customers. Dishwashers. This is something common you'll see. Some dishwashers come with one hose that goes all the way under the sink and it hooks up under the sink. Some come with a short hose connected and then inside is a second hose. You have to put them together in the middle as seen in this illustration. On the right we see a spring clamp. It comes with all the little parts in the dishwasher, but some guys say, I hate those things. I don't want to use them, and they put a band clamp on. As you can see in the picture on the left, notice the small puddle of water below that fitting, because it leaks. Why does it leak? Because that band clamp. The band clamps are good clamps, but they are not for use in this application. Use the provided spring clamps. If you want to put a band clamp under the sink where it hooks into the plumbing, that's fine as long as you don't over tighten it. But when you're hooking the two hoses together, always use the provided spring clamp. Do not use band clamps. Here's that same hose. When we remove the band clamp, this is what it looked like. Band clamps simply apply too much pressure. It crushes the pipe. This makes a leak. The spring clamp is designed to put exactly the right amount of pressure on it to seal it and to not crush the pipe. This particular homeowner claimed $8,000 in damage from a very small leak. That's ridiculous. But the homeowner won. We had to pay because we created a leak. So one little $2 clamp that we didn't even need to put there cost $8,000. So always use the right equipment, and you don't have to go down that path. If you are unsure, ask for training. Read the manual. Every appliance comes with a manual. The instructions from the manufacturer. We should always follow the manufacturer's instructions. We start to feel like, oh, I have an idea that this is better or that is better. Don't worry about that. Follow the manufacturer's instructions. If we follow the manufacturer's instructions and it fails, then it is a manufacturing issue. If we step outside of the manufacturer's instructions or specifications and it fails, it is an installer issue, and we are 100% responsible for any damage that ensued. So most dishwashers are located right next to the sink, but fairly common you will find blind corner dishwashers. When you are replacing a blind corner dishwasher, we don't hook up old lines. Always run new water lines, new drain lines. Old lines leak. If we did the installation and there's a leak, we're going to be responsible. Leaks cost thousands of dollars. We always run new lines with new fill hot lines with every appliance, new drain lines on every dishwasher. That blind corner that you see in this you'll see the two different angles. The sink is on an angle to the opposing cabinet. Well, between those two cabinets, there's going to be a blank space. Most likely there's no access to that cavity. If you just run in there and you pull all the old lines out, you will find yourself in a very difficult situation because you won't be able to get those new lines through that blank space. It's very difficult to fish things through there. You don't know what could be in that cavity blocking your way. The simplest thing to do is use some zip ties to tie your new lines to your old lines, and as you pull the old lines out, you'll pull the new lines through. This is a very common mistake, and even though I warn people not to do this, they go out there and they do that, and then they call and they say, what do I do? Well, I'm here to tell you, you got to fish it through, and it's a real big pain. So always remember, if you come to a blind corner unit, tie your new lines to your old lines before you pull them out, or tie a piece of string to it and pull it through so you can pull the new line through. Don't just pull them out not thinking about it. Do not splice into old lines. This is a sure way to create a leak. Trying to splice into an old line. What do we see in the photo on the right? This installer, he spliced into an old line. The leak that resulted did $4,600 in damage. Do not splice into old lines. Always replace them with new lines. What happens if the dishwasher is not next to the sink and the line doesn't work? When you are in Lowe's or Home Depot, whatever big box store you're in, go down to the dishwasher section. Here they have 12-foot dishwasher lines. Keep one of these in your vans. The one in this picture is about $10, $15. But remember, these are not free to customers. When we get out there and we find this situation, it's not free. This is an additional charge. When discussing extra charges, make sure you include money for parts and for labor. Blind corners are not standard installs, and additional charges do apply. Typically, we charge the parts plus $75 fee to do blind corner dishwashers. Leaks. Anytime during your pre-inspection of an install, if you encounter any leaks, notify the customer and take a photo of the leak and upload it into the app. In this example, this is a real installation that took place, and as you can see, once again, we have an example of some very poor plumbing. This individual had a bowl underneath of it to capture the leak. If you find an active leak, anytime you're doing an inspection of a job, you should be looking for them. Notify the homeowner, take a picture of it. In this example, this individual called back later and complained multiple times saying that he had a leak after we installed his dishwasher. He knew he had a leak before we installed his dishwasher, but it's an example of someone trying to go to a big box store and get them to make repairs at their home for free. If a homeowner calls and says, hey, I have a leak, and you were the installer, it has to be followed up on immediately. It's not optional. We have to go back. That's why it's always important to check for leaks, not only before we start a job, but when we leave a job. And if you were called on a leak and you knew there was a leak and you took a photo of it, then you will be able to say, here's the leak and I took a picture of it. Before you leave a job, thoroughly test the appliance. Check for leaks. Because installers, again, the expectation is that you will go back right away the same day. It doesn't matter if you've already gotten home and taken your shower and gotten your easy chair. If a customer calls in a leak, we have to respond. That's why it's best to thoroughly check your appliances. It is possible to do installations and rarely ever get a complaint of a leak. It's very possible. If you're getting lots of complaints about leaks, then you're doing something wrong. You're not thoroughly checking out your job. It only takes 2 to 5 minutes to thoroughly test an appliance and thoroughly test for leaks. You waste more time by not doing it because that will result in time going back to fix leaks. But if you can identify them and fix them while you're present, you think it's slowing you down, but it actually saves you more time. Leaks cost a lot of money, so we have to be vigilant making sure we don't cause leaks. Accidents happen. Leaks are often caused by carelessness. Carelessness is 100% avoidable if we're vigilant, if we're diligent. When an installer causes a leak and damage results, it does affect the company's ability to bonus the installer. We can only bonus you on net positive numbers. If a $5,000 leak or damage from a leak causes $5,000 in damages, that puts you in the negative. It's difficult to come back out from that, even though it can be done. So being a good plumber, it's not difficult. It's not hard. Take pride in your work. Be a professional. Show interest in what you do. Become familiar with the products you install. If you don't know, ask questions. And you can always seek additional training.